Exactly, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, usually some feeds after you see, but nothing
Oh.
special.
Recording is in progress, right?
It's good.
Yeah, it's really.
Ah,
Um,
I'm gonna leave this over here, just in case somebody comes in.
I don't know, so Rosie's here.
okay, so,
Yeah.
okay,
Say cheese, you like.
we have a forum. Sounds good, 7:02. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to see everybody. Happy Independence Day. Soon. Soon. Awesome. No audience of citizens.
The switch.
No guests. Minutes of last meeting. Any adjustments, additions, deletions?
I had sent some edits.
Yeah.
Did I have from these, but no, was it this set?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
motion to accept.
The motion to accept, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So be it. All right. Okay, any permit reviews?
I believe wetlands approved us to the LMAC, the dock. That we asked to move, that was put in without a permit. They
Okay.
moved it so that it's now 25 feet away from their abutting property. And wetlands looked at it last Thursday and I believe last Thursday. So we should be finally finished with that one.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I forgot the address. On Route 87, 140. Six.
We don't know where it is.
Yeah,
it's
it's
one
on
44, wasn't it, Mary?
144.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did do their permit.
Yeah, they put a permit in after they did everything.
Yeah.
So we're good finally, and I think they understand they now have to apply for it.
okay,
Mike?
Yeah.
Communications, you kind of skipped over it.
oh, I'm sorry. Communications.
I have something very important that was made aware to me. This morning. Does anybody know what? A herbicide called dicot is? Have you heard about it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna pass this around. The state of Connecticut, and I got this from. And I forget who in here has a contact with DEEP. But if you do, you need to get to them because they're using this. Dicot in the Connecticut River. They're
Correct,
starting off in Hamburg Cove.
correct.
And they're saying that it doesn't hurt humans and that in fact. It doesn't disturb wildlife and or fish. And if you dig deeper, you find out that that's not the case. And they're using it in all of the lakes. We have not been targeted, and I was hoping Mark was gonna be here. But we have not been targeted yet. Because they're going after hydrilla. Yes, Mary,
I spoke with Mark this afternoon,
about it?
yes.
Yeah,
First off, Columbia Lake has no hydrilla.
I know we will.
And no lake is going to be treated unless it does have hydrilla and it's approved by the US Army Corps, EPA, and Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. It does not impact Columbia Lake
No,
because we are self-contained with our own watershed area. There is concern of those where Connecticut River flows into their lakes. There is some concern that is being discussed. I have no data on this stuff.
well, I looked it up this afternoon
Okay.
and I'm just passing this around. It's unbelievable. For intestinal problems. It gets through into the gut and then it goes into the bloodstream and then it can cause Parkinson's disease
In humans.
in humans.
Is this aquatic like, oh, because it's saying, they're saying. As you selectively does not pose significant safety issues.
Correct. Keep on going and researching it and see what you find. That's why I'm passing this around because
Thank you.
I was blown away when I saw what it can do to not only people, but animals. Which means it's gonna affect if anybody's fishing in the Connecticut River and they catch a fish and they eat it. So, I mean, it's relatively dangerous.
And the DEP is blessed this.
And DEEP has blessed it, and so has our governor.
EPA, D,
Yep,
US Army Corps.
Yep.
Are all saying.
Yep.
You know, opposite of what, I got a phone call today about the Wisconsin,
okay,
so, from a concerned citizen.
Yep.
And are we doing this on the lake? He said, absolutely,
no,
and it needs to be permitted anyways.
It
yeah,
looks like you can buy it on Amazon.
oh, you can buy it anywhere,
Bought it and
but it's,
You ship it to Connecticut,
they can't ship it here.
I don't know, but there's a lot of chemicals that you can't ship.
however, it does say that 70 other countries are not using this because it's so deadly. The UK, Europe, and Switzerland are not using it, they've banned it. And, you know, and we're starting to use this, it is being used in agriculture right now.
Yeah,
So,
but we know what that's, how that story can turn out. so.
yep, so I think we have to be super careful around here.
Right,
And that's why I was hoping Mark was gonna be here, because he's down in East Haddam and they're gonna start there.
well, he's very well aware of it, he and his son actually had a discussion about it. Who's totally dead set against it, and there's a lot of. Type of discussion that you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. I applaud everything that this town is doing to keep this lake safe, and let's just keep doing it.
Yeah,
Cause we certainly don't wanna see that type of thing loose.
It says it's non-selective, so it kills all plants.
yeah,
I think that's what non-selective means, right?
I don't know.
Keep on
we have to
going.
research it.
and you know, keep reading and reading about it.
We should get either Carl or Greg Bugby or someone to give us some sort of an update,
Yeah,
if we ever had to use it, but I respect that it's a huge issue that Mark brought to my attention, and then I got the phone call.
yeah,
I was, no, it's not being used here.
And takes groundwater.
yeah,
So do we want to
put it on the agenda.
put anything under new business on the agenda as far as monitoring it or what?
Well, we have the early detection and rapid response, maybe it should be a part of that in terms of if anything happens, that's what early detection and rapid response is.
Yeah,
What would
I think
we-
include this.
Yeah, what would we wanna consider or not? You know, that should be part of the action plan is, there are things we may not wanna use in this lake,
Mm-hmm,
so. I would suggest we have it under new business already, just have it as a category,
a category. Under what?
under early detection. and
Oh, I see it,
rapid
rapid
response
response, yeah. there's
To
already
aquatic
that.
invasive species.
Yeah.
So paraquat is another one
Yeah,
This replaces it.
that
Yeah.
replaces it.
Yeah.
Paraquat's what they used to spray in Mexico and hot plants. So that they wouldn't be able to sell,
scary,
you know, 30, 40, 50 years
But
ago.
I think Paraquat's paying that.
It is.
So
It
this
says right here,
this
it's in
replaces-
Roundup.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say,
I think there's a Roundup ad when they got that up.
Hmm.
So it must work the same way as paraquat. Yeah.
Like, one other communication,
Sure.
did come up, specific to this lake, kayakers received some phone calls. Of, people looking at certain things, and one thought it was sandwort, one thought it was, blue-green algae. So I went around the lake after I got pictures from 2 kayakers and a lake resident, and looked around. We clearly have filamentous green algae in mats or patches. It's that really thready, silky stuff. You pick it up and it just dissipates. Harmless. Yes, it's happening because of too much phosphorus, harmless. We also do have swirls of blue-green algae, and in some places it gathered into very tiny or small patches of blue-green algae. I sent the pictures to Carl at TRC, he confirmed it's blue-green algae, cyanobacteria. So tomorrow, the town is going to issue an educational update alerting anybody and everybody who uses the lake on their website. And you're gonna, this is CLA,
CLA will send it
we'll
out.
send it out. Because with the hot weather, we're likely gonna start to see perhaps some of these swirls for blue-green algae and hopefully no patches.
So there'll be a lot of boat traffic this weekend too.
And there's gonna be a lot of boat
Oh, it
traffic
is.
that stir it up, so. Um, So there you have it, a communications from Athens town tomorrow.
Mary, you think the heat so far that we've had contributes to that?
Oh, I guess.
Sometimes it's not the heat, sometimes it's when there's not a lot of sunshine. And the green algae really blooms at like 65 degrees when the water can mix top to bottom.
Yeah,
So most of the time, that's trying to keep itself down in the cold water. That's why the thermals are so important.
but the water temperature is rising.
I got 79, but
Yeah, those 395 degree days were scary. And that's when we started to see the swirls. I mean, the sunshine's gonna be the next 4 days.
yeah.
And I'm probably gonna see some of the swirls. It was over by the town beach, it was in Jim Santos Cove, over by Lessingers, it was in Euless Cove, it was up on Downey Road. The pictures were over at Nina. So, yeah, for 10 years now. And we may see it again. Hopefully not.
All right.
Just,
Yep,
since it's a similar kind of thing.
is this under communications, or you wanna do it later? I mean, meaning related.
It sort of piggybacks on what Phyllis was talking about. I was driving down Route 6. Wilmette coming back into town, just at the corner of 66 and 6. And DOT was out spraying something along the side of the road.
Huh.
Now, I know years ago, they used to spray Roundup, and we stopped them from doing that. Well, I don't know if we did, the town did. I mean, I think it was part of us saying that
DOT was,
DOT.
Okay, got it.
DOT truck spraying something and behind it, the lights on. It might be worth looking into that because what we did is stop them from doing it around the lake because that was like the watershed. I don't know if what it was, it's just,
I've seen some guardrail areas where they sprayed, I don't even know the town it was in, right? I
Yeah.
noticed, this is all dead grass.
yeah. That's what I can tell you about that. That's what they
Was it
did.
in town? I know it.
No, I don't know. One I saw was in town, but I haven't seen any dead grass. They were applying something. There was nozzles out the front of the truck and a big tank in the back.
It all turns brown.
Yeah,
So we need to find out what it is.
So do you,
well, I think we could talk to Mark Walter about it and see some,
I was gonna say, do you want,
I can talk to him.
yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Great.
I'll start to take.
There's a poison ivy,
To update
vinegar. You ever see that? It kills grass.
Yeah,
I don't, that works pretty good, but you gotta keep spraying.
Inland wetland.
I don't know what that would be, what they did.
Well, yeah, but let's start with Mark
Sure.
Walter.
Yeah, I'll start with Mark and let
Yeah.
him deal with. Up and down Lake Road and that type, and this was going back 10 or 12 years ago.
Yep.
And we got them to stop it.
Okay.
I'll talk more.
Okay. All right, any other communications? Calling once, calling twice. So, since I, I want to really emphasize it, since I glossed right over it. Want to make sure. Alright, alright, I'm sorry, permit review, there,
No, we're good.
we're good, okay. P and Z coordination,
I would just like to say that I was very happy with the outcome of the zoning changes, starting that conversation felt like we're really pushing a stone up the hill to consider any kind of compromise whatsoever, so to end up where we landed, I thought was really a big win for all of us. I know it was only sub-zone A of the watershed, but that's probably the most important, really, especially given the number of small properties around the lake. So I was really pleased. I wrote an article that you'll see soon, because I think the Columbia Views articles go into the monthly newsletter.
Yep.
Kind of complimenting the Planning and Zoning Commission for being open-minded and listening to other points of view and being willing to compromise.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting process because it didn't start out that way.
Was it not?
It was a really, I think, a successful compromise.
I
So, yeah. Regot what we wanted to use updated,
Mhm.
the system actually worked.
Good, the way it's supposed
The way
to,
it's supposed to work,
Yeah. which doesn't
especially
happen
since
much
the beginning,
nowadays.
so.
It speaks to the first partnership that Rick Nassif brought to our attention, what, 6, 8 months ago? And here we are, so.
And it's a good model for us going forward when we run into contentious issues to find, you know, we. And Bob, I realize you're straddling, but you know, it was a
Yeah.
difficult position for you to be in, being on, planning and zoning commission and also sitting on LMAP, but. Not asking for too much, where we would have just gotten shut out, but you know, asking something that seemed more reasonable, I think. was-
Again, I was not part of the team this summer.
Right, right.
I was in the audience, but I think, yeah, good plan, recognizing what the opposition might have been and adjusting expectations. I think it was a good way to do it. Like I said, I think both sides came up with as much as they could possibly get.
Yeah.
So it was a good thing.
Good, take that up.
The system at work. All right, dam status, we've got some.
Yeah.
Gatekeepers logs here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where are we?
just like that's been going every day to check the height. We're hanging around, we're hanging about an inch. A little more, it's always going over the flow, yeah.
Yeah, on Monday it was -1, but we got an inch last night, I think we're +1 now.
Maybe an inch and a half, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, but boy, we were bone dry.
I didn't see any rain, I don't know where I.
where were you?
Oh, my God.
I got it.
Yeah, we were getting hammered.
You must have been an inch, cause I didn't fit, I mean, it was raining, but I didn't feel like it was.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some lightning in the distance.
And I stopped at Utley Street, and I couldn't barely see out that window.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, Utley Stream was mildly flowing.
Mhm.
We really needed the rain.
Yeah.
I think, cause I was surprised at my yard, well, I had to make some changes. Those pesky neighbors, but. Either way, it, you know, it took a while for the water to actually start flowing.
Yeah, it was all that.
It was definitely.
So to be a +1 is great, and to have that spillover keep going,
Yeah, that's what we want.
keep that crap off the way.
It hasn't really stopped. You thought it was below, you know, it was a little low, you're right, it was a little.
It was my-
Yeah, but
Just the-
The spillway was having more winding.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else to add other than the reports here, or we good?
So is the gate open or?
No.
The gate?
it is.
No, the gate is closed.
Unchanged?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was close.
Oh, God, I hope it's closed.
Yeah.
Oh, it just doesn't.
Oh, I see, yeah,
Yeah.
look at that.
It says 0 at the final.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, we'll have to tell her to put it,
Yeah, that's sort of an odd,
It should say.
yeah, it should say closed.
I'll
it
make
should be
a note.
closed and unchanged.
She should have,
Both.
she should
Yeah.
have checked the closed box.
Right. It should be closed and unchanged, yeah.
I'll make a note for Mark to.
Okay.
Tell her,
Yeah.
we were confused.
Well, at least there's no ice.
Thank you.
Moving on.
Okay.
All right, nothing, anything on the emergency plan?
No.
Water quality?
Clarity is phenomenal. We're still 3 to 4 meters, which is what, 10 to 12 feet. And they just did the last field visit. Last week, June 27th, because they were gonna go on the lake when we had the 60-mile-an-hour winds and they're both tipped. So they went off the lake.
So
So
you tip like, is it like tipped and took on water?
like over, at the,
Like tipped over?
at the boat launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they decided not to go on.
We had some bad.
I think that was a safe decision.
That's,
Water quality, clarity is good. Phosphorus levels in May were the lowest they've seen since they've started,
Oh, excellent,
which was really interesting.
yeah.
And there's a lot of hypothetical things why. Example, there were very few boats, the weather sucked in terms of using it, the lake, it was really cold, it was
is that a
rainy.
technical term?
Excuse me.
I just wanna make sure that I have.
We did have a very wet spring.
It was incredible, yes.
So would that contribute to, I
So,
would think that would contribute to an
You
increase.
said lowest in how long?
well, they've been doing it for 2 years.
So it's the lowest that
So,
they've ever
6
tested.
times 2 years, 6 months, because they do it.
Yeah, wow.
Which is why I'm curious to see what June will bring.
Right.
And compared to, I asked Marine Patrol this, compared to May of last year, 77 boats have been launched this year for the month of May. 171 were launched last year. So was there more stir?
Wow.
Well, there's the Marine Patrol report is right there, it's sitting in front of Mike, he hadn't passed it over to you.
Yeah,
Mike,
This?
185.
no, it's right in front of you.
Oh, this,
Again,
Yeah.
I was.
Oh, you guys got it? Yes, I just.
Does that include kayaks or just, is that more?
No, more.
Just motor, okay.
So, yeah, in May, we had 77. As of the end of June, we had 185 boats on the lake. 4 failed. Might as well do the Marine.
Well, is
I was
that,
gonna say.
is that
Segue.
the non-lake people though coming and going multiple times?
You know, that's.
Artificial.
No, I should ask that.
Yeah, cause they inspect it.
I just asked him for a report because I felt that we need to be updated monthly and keep.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Except.
Well, let me
It looks like, because it says fail, it gives you the reason.
Yeah.
Fail.
Two were for aquatic invasive species,
Yeah,
like broken.
Wow.
So. Yeah, you want.
You're inspected every time you come?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, mine's on a mooring, but
Oh, that's-
my nephew, they all come in just for the weekend for a day.
Okay.
And then you get all the fishermen, they're coming in and out. Yeah.
Yes.
But once you have a sticker. Are they just inspecting for invasive when you're in a second?
Once you
and
get the
third?
sticker, it's just.
So they're not looking at lights or horn or any of that, right? Because you've already passed that.
no, because you should have passed that.
So we have
Should
now
have
the right
Just-
boats.
just inspection.
Even, we should
Well, no,
go
it says,
residential lakefront,
well, it says,
non,
you're trying to break down.
yeah, could we break that down? Do we need it?
I see.
No,
It could be
I-
if they have a sticker or not,
Yeah,
that kind
well,
of.
that's what this is.
Yeah.
they will give us whatever we want in the report, so.
Yeah.
Tell them. No, I just.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing, yeah.
We used to have about 180 boats that got stickers. I mean, it's looking back 7 or 8 years ago when I was involved. So the total was always about 180 stickers. We'd always order like 250, and most left over.
Right,
It was always around 180, whatever.
so this is relatively consistent,
Well, so far,
yeah.
but I think there's multiple passes that you are saying.
so I find this kind of strange that through the whole May and June, Marine Patrol has no other issues to report to element.
In terms of what?
Well,
Anything,
anything,
Oh, okay.
so what are they doing? If, you know, are they reporting anything?
Well, I mean, I can tell you there have been issues that they have addressed, but I think what they're doing is, they're trying to talk to people
Yeah,
Correct.
and not necessarily put something on record,
okay.
and try to educate and, mitigate the
Yeah.
behavior without going straight to, the
So-
ordinance or fines.
So the next time it happens, they won't know that they've already talked to them once.
I don't think,
They're probably keeping,
what's that?
they're probably.
Oh, there's absolutely, there's.
We could ask
100%
for-
they're keeping a log and I
Don't we see that one?
We could ask for a warnings log,
Mhm.
how many warnings,
well,
And then-
they have,
anything violation,
There's-
which they have one.
yeah.
Goes to the state trooper.
Yeah, right.
So.
Well,
this
there's
might-
written warnings and then verbal warnings.
Yeah.
I think they must,
I think they're concentrating on both.
well, I think that's where they're starting,
Today.
trying to.
You think?
I,
Well, if they're selling warnings, they should be listing warnings.
No, the verbal
I
one,
know.
I don't
Here
think,
we got pulled over.
I called them the last 2 weeks, I called them twice.
For what?
I'm up
It's so
there.
funny.
Okay.
Because, the people were tying up to
hang up, what?
mark the rock
Yeah,
markers.
yeah.
Yeah, the islands. And,
They-
and one of them was at 2 PM and they don't arrive during the week till 4.
Right.
So, you know, I debated, do I go talk to the people and say they should do it?
There used to be signs on this.
What do you
Well,
mean?
that's what I said, so I went back and I talked to Marine Patrol and Jake, and then I contacted Mark, cause I've been working with him on the Wi-Fi stuff over at the beach for Henry's weather system. And, I said, geez, wouldn't it be smart just to put do not tie up decals on there, so, and I reminded him yesterday when I saw him. And then he reminded me that they still owe the buoys that go out around that point near Mike's house.
Yeah, I was gonna get
Yeah.
that.
Those in,
right,
I thought he was gonna talk about it tonight, but anyway.
The two,
So those, I know that for sure on Sunday, Tom, Marine Patrol. Came out and talked to the people nicely and they, oh, I'm sorry, and,
no, they
evidently it's a federal law.
no,
yeah,
according to-
yeah, I think it is, I think.
So you can't tie up to the post, but you can throw your own anchor out.
Oh, and-
Oh, sure.
But they're trying to-
But
they're trying to-
if you look at it, the people weren't tied up, they had anchor it.
yeah,
Well,
we,
I saw them tied up. You can see the line going from the
Oh,
buoy.
I didn't- I
To
saw, it looked like they were anchored.
boat that's on mooring number
Okay,
10.
either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a warning that was last week that,
Should have been on the report.
if they were documenting warnings, that's my whole point of that is,
That's more an education.
Yeah,
That's what I
I
did.
think there's a lot of that going,
Yeah.
so just,
So not necessarily.
very polite, very nice.
Yeah.
yeah, trying to.
So this
She got
means
pulled
that
over.
there was one violation that was recorded here and
Yeah.
somebody issued $50 fine.
Yeah,
Mm.
Wow.
what is this?
What were they doing?
I
They're,
don't know.
This is,
Wow.
It's a sailboat out there in the evening at night,
Okay.
or, you know, after dusk.
Yeah,
Now he knows not to
After
do it.
10.
no, it had to be after 10, cause that's what they're,
Sailboat, you can have a sailboat all night.
No, well, there was a warning given over the weekend, I know.
As long as he's got license.
There was one guy going crazy with it too, late,
Yeah, there was a jet ski out there
Days ago,
late
yeah.
one night, there was another speedboat
Oh, yeah,
going
going
through there.
full open.
I don't know who that guy,
After sunset.
it seemed
No,
like someone,
after
it
10
wasn't,
p.m.
wasn't someone visiting or something, cause they didn't.
that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
okay,
Alright,
But there's
this is,
nobody out there.
this is a plus though, I mean, it's something we haven't seen in a long time, right?
correct, so it's a step in the right direction, but I'm hearing a little bit more detail on warnings. Perhaps, and just so we can get
Yeah.
the visual feel, what do we,
Yeah, I'd be clear, that's why, it's not that we're trying to monitor
Yeah.
them so much as just understand the kinds of issues.
I think, yeah, it's not important to understand any trends that might be happening that maybe we could help address.
Lumpy, could you put it in the CLA newsletter that,
Oh, sure, sure.
just a reminder to residents or,
rules of the road?
please don't tie up,
Yeah,
to buoys.
absolutely.
You know, maybe this is a good time for me to say this, but, when I put my boat in the water, the Marine Patrol, I forget his name, but he's an older gentleman, he gave me this packet. So I assumed that they were all doing that. And when I came in last month, I said, I got this and nobody else did.
I got that.
You did?
Yeah.
But look at it, I mean, it's Connecticut,
Yeah, I did.
the golden guide, it's the town ordinance, trifle,
Yeah, we got Dave.
it is. Nautical rules of the road, which is good,
All good stuff.
aquatic, stop aquatic hitchhikers, really good thing,
Yeah,
and all about the stand.
Yes.
That you need to put on
I got all
your
that.
boat. So I think this is a good thing for everyone to get when they put a boat in the water.
I think they were trying to hand them out to everyone.
Well, they did,
Maybe they ran
this
out.
to me, but
Yeah.
I was surprised that no one else here got.
Tom checked.
They probably needed more education.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom, I think it was Tom that gave it.
Tom gave me that.
And he hasn't been around the lake long
Yeah.
enough, right?
He didn't give it.
So it's an
So
inconsistent.
he might have assumed that I
Yeah.
know all this. He might have assumed that I know all this.
Yeah.
Since
You
he
used to run them.
Since he used to work for me.
Yeah,
And the other-
exactly.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Well,
Yeah.
they've been.
I did get
And I
that.
did have my aquatic sticker.
Yeah.
One other. Statement or question on the same similar topic that Mike and I talked about a little bit is, are they actually going to check serial numbers in the manufacturer databases? Is anybody doing that in? You know, because if they don't have time, Mike and I said, you know, we'd be happy to. Do the research. And do some better documentation of this stuff. I helped Mulligan put his jet ski in and, Jody, really good guy, really good marine patrol guy, did the inspection, all right, but we could not find the serial number, you know, unless you took the whole freaking top off to look. I mean, I had my flashlight in there, we're looking at it. You knew it's a smaller jet ski, so it was okay, and Jody was familiar with that, but still, even if we found the serial number, what are they doing with them, you know? And there's a lot of downtime, especially on a rainy day.
Yep,
So I don't know if anybody's pushing them or asking them to do that, and if it's appropriate for me when I'm over there talking to everybody to ask them that,
I think,
you know, who is. You know, without pushing LMAC to Jake or Marine Patrol.
Well, our purview is not, you know, enforcement.
Right.
Our purview is policy and,
advice,
advice,
guys.
yeah, coordination, you know, that kind of thing,
But
but,
I think it's a good question for the town administrator,
Right.
yeah, that,
the,
who
so you could ask Mark if you want.
yeah, they do take pictures of the serial numbers. They
Yeah, I
do.
assume they're
Yeah,
checking.
they've been
And
taking
I think,
pictures of the
you know,
motors and stuff.
If in question, then if there's a question about it, then obviously they're gonna check, but. I mean, if it's an inboard outboard and it's got 4 cylinders, then it's 135 horsepower, and that's pretty straightforward, so you don't have to.
You're
really-
assuming all the Marine Patrol know motors. Or.
Well,
Jake.
they can count, they should be instructed on how to count.
I'm just saying, you know, it's inconsistent what's going on. And one of the things we were really felt was important was to check the serial numbers against the hull number with the manufacturer.
Which
Like
they're.
you said, if you want,
Yeah, but they don't go and do it after the fact. So I'll follow.
talk to Mark.
I will.
All right,
I'm taking notes, Mark couldn't be here tonight, I thought he explained that,
you
and
did.
he apologizes, so he helped me to take me.
Okay. All right.
All right, fishing, any reports on fishing?
Yeah, I had a phone call today from people who were over in Jim Santos, the Wessenger Cove area. Who in the last week, 2 weeks, have seen 12 dead fish. And they've never seen that before. We've had, what, 3 or 4 in the past week or two. But she asked, is that a fish kill? And I said, we've had 1 fish kill that I remember that were 50.
Yeah.
Or more huge bass. So I said I'd double check, but I was doubtful that number, but to keep a gauge on it, and if it continues, let us know. And,
So which house were they at?
it's Neil Burgess's old house.
Maria's.
Yeah, great.
So here's the thing, that Brent's Pier is like a catch-all. And
Okay,
I get lots of dead fish right in where we are, all the time.
and so wait,
Just the way blow them over.
They get caught on the pier,
okay,
and, I'm not pushing them past the pier to go over to Maria.
Yeah.
They're not yet anyway.
Are you taking it out for fertilizer?
Well, we do take them out, yeah, because our
Well-
dogs are in there and they're kind of interested in them. And we
They
don't
have-
want them there,
he did ask how do you discard them, because
yeah,
they stink, and I said, well, we have wetlands across the street.
yeah, that's what most people do, they have a lot or something.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's what Brent has a lot.
unfortunately, you know, put them in a trash bag, take them to the dump, I don't know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we do that too.
My guess is it's,
We've had three.
Okay.
Again, I'm afraid it didn't belong.
I had three today.
Huh?
I had three today.
Okay.
I used to actually talk to the fishermen. Because they would hook, I could tell, there was certain fishermen who like would catch the bluegills and didn't like catching bluegills. And all of a sudden, 4 or 5 would float up in the same day,
Oh.
so I knew they were, you know, treating them like trash fish. And I would say something to them, but I haven't had that in a few years.
or, you know,
Al and those guys are really good,
The
the regular
fish-
guys are good.
The fish kill we had was because of lack of oxygen in the water, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, cormorants.
No, it was a cormorant
Oh, that's
disease,
right.
or
And they were-
that was their determination, they
What was
thought
that, the cormorants had a disease?
that there was a disease being spread by cormorants when we had
Oh.
literally 50 huge bass under Donnybrook Beach.
Oh, we
And
don't-
I, by mistake, put one in our freezer so they could.
I
not-
don't buy a new refrigerator. First thing that ever happened.
So the cormorants are the ones who get rid of the bluegills, they get all
Yeah.
small.
Well, we usually only had one or two on.
This year there's fewer.
That year, we had a lot of cormorants.
Yeah, cormorants are pretty bad for
Yeah.
the mid small fish.
I also think there's a ton of kids fishing on the beach and catching the sunnies
Yeah,
and, you know, the fish swallow it and they'll
Yeah,
hit the hook and fall
Yeah.
back in, you know, hopefully they swim kind of a thing, so that's kind of what I would tell the lady, it's probably just
combination.
fish swallowing a hook and not surviving.
they should flatten their barb,
Yeah, or,
flatten
you
their
know,
barb and then
Learn how to
they
fish
get them
with
out
it.
a lot easier.
if they
But then you
quickly-
lose a lot more
It
too.
didn't sound like a fish kill,
Yeah.
like we had
if
had.
the wind-
No, it isn't, yeah.
Okay, thanks for the advice, good.
Watershed management. No, we already did that, and those were.
No.
Oh, and now you're just jamming me up, aren't you?
So one more thing on that.
Yeah.
Access safety, and Greg, you touched on it about the buoys that
Yeah.
are supposed to be,
Mm.
what did he say about them?
He forgot,
Okay,
so, and he's got the ones to order. So I was just gonna remind him tonight, if he has any questions, we'll revisit it, but he does wanna.
The new
order
book.
The new walkers, what's the gentleman's name?
On the island?
No, the next two down,
oh, Mike Hartman,
Heartland.
yeah,
Yeah. we're
Yeah, he asked me about it
80 feet
today.
out, yeah, 80 feet out, we're gonna put,
Yeah.
markers out,
so, okay.
just to keep people off the shoreline. That was approved last October.
Right. And do we have? Yeah, okay. Okay,
I'll check with him.
So with the full lake, you can go pretty close to the
Okay.
island, you can go within 50 feet of the pole.
yeah, I was gonna say though,
But
it's tight.
there are rocks, if it's
Gotta be careful, because that's,
If you're like
That's
this,
why
you're
I said
gonna.
80 instead of 100, because that will, people will be kind of 100 off the shore with an 80.
well, right, but it's sort of without a buoy on the other side.
They'll be fine.
Someone's not,
That's the deep side too.
Yeah,
It's 100 by
next
it's
winter,
100
we're
by
gonna move that
regulation.
White House.
It's 100 feet by regulation.
That's, you know, the only one that's.
The white rock is 100 feet from the pole,
No, I'm just saying we were gonna try to move it this past winter, but we never got to it.
move the white rock,
Yeah.
Good luck. It's
Yeah.
the size of this room.
somebody put it there, so I don't know. But the white rock is plenty deep though, the white rock is at least
The
3.
sailboats.
The sailboats hit it, yeah.
Oh, they hit the white rock?
Centerboards.
I think they're hitting one a little further in than the white rock. The white rock is pretty
Okay.
deep,
All right, well, be revisited next winter.
alright,
I forgot.
when
One,
you get enough ice, you could get a bobcat out there,
Try to, yeah.
get rid of the whole island.
Try to move
I'm
it.
I'm so sorry.
I would love to drill this.
okay.
I think we all need to be aware of this. Rob Goodwin, who lives on Rodoni Road, sent an email to the town administrator. That he wrapped his, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, he wrapped his engine prop around something underwater.
It was sunken mooring.
Hmm?
It was a sunken mooring.
Yeah, it was a sunken mooring.
Yesterday.
It was removed, cause he unwrapped it, he sent us the coordinate, where it was, and it was out in front of Gates on Woodland. out that
So
way.
that
No,
was
no,
Walter
it in front of the
Crosby
camp.
Mooring.
It was in front of the camp.
It was in front of the camp.
Yeah.
So I know exactly, no, it wasn't, it was in front of Walter Crosby's mooring. And
Okay,
he got it, and it was only 55 feet up. And he was in a line with 3 pontoon boats, he was the last one,
and
they
he
all
caught
went
it,
over it, he got caught on it.
okay,
And it wrapped up, and then he dragged it out into deep water, cut it off, and Walter lost his mooring, it sank down in deep water, so Walter's looking for it.
wow,
Yeah,
Because there was,
There's nothing
removed
to
something
retrieve.
yesterday afternoon.
then there must
from
be
the
two.
camp.
The coordinate he
he could
sent,
have brought it, he could have dragged it all the way over to camp, I don't know.
no, I don't think he did, the coordinate he sent. Was
Was right in front of Gates.
Right between Crosby's and Gates.
Right,
And, Marine Patrol went out, but I'm not sure they found it.
Walter
They
didn't
did,
find it.
Tom Griffith was looking for it, he couldn't
Yeah,
find it,
yes.
he was sitting. He was at my dock and we were talking about it because he wanted to know if I had seen it. And then while we were talking, somebody in a pontoon boat went over and found it.
Oh, really?
And was hauling it out, and
Okay,
Alright, so
So it's out of water.
I think it's.
now that was one
This
of
was
the
in
beach,
front of, this was in front.
that
of-
was one of the beach sized ones.
I
That's
just
how
don't
big.
want any of our
It
problems
was under.
or anyone.
Somehow he only had a single cinder block on it and somehow it shortened the rope up. Or it got into deep enough water. He said he had 75 feet of rope on it.
Hmm.
And he-
Walter said that?
Yeah,
The lake's not that deep.
I know. I don't know why he said that, but he does, I saw him this morning.
No wonder somebody ran over it.
Okay.
The guy was swearing.
This,
So I'll have Mark check with the Marine Patrol.
yeah,
Just.
I haven't talked to Tom Griffith because I think he was looking for it yesterday.
I don't know, it's the same.
Even though the guy's pulling something out. so.
Yeah, Jake called me and said Tom was coming on at 3.
Is he really?
Right.
He would have.
Well, he couldn't find it, he was looking at it.
Okay,
His horse is not finding it, came on, he asked me.
Someone cut out two
Right
days.
there, I had said.
So I think Bob Davis.
I usually have my phone.
Well, we're talking about somebody else.
You're on.
I know who he is.
Guys.
Yeah.
I have a question, speaking about these moorings, there's been that mooring floating around for 4 years over by where the Wiggins used to live.
Where's that?
With Wiggins, that's the property where
Webster's
the,
thing.
Yeah,
What's
that's fine. That, it's a buoy, yeah.
yeah, but it was there originally, and it blew in there in a storm about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh,
And it's been floating around and floating around.
was there, but we.
I thought it was
No.
their buoy.
That's been there a while. I'll talk to Josh
Which
tomorrow.
one's, where's McGuigan's?
Well, McWiggins is the one which was the Webster estate,
The 3 houses, Josh Hoffman lives there.
Kaufman and the one
And
that
they
just
just
sold.
sold, they sold 2 of the houses.
Right, it's between that one and the one on the pole.
Yeah, it's between
That
David.
mooring has been there for 10 years.
10 years, okay, so
I
I'm
found
high
it,
five.
I found it floating around in the middle of the lake.
Nobody lives in
Get rid of it. They dragged it over there and left it there. It's about 50 feet off the shore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I left it there thinking that if somebody was looking for their mooring, they would find it and take it home. Well,
It's hilarious.
no, it's been there for at least 10 years.
I'll see Josh tomorrow.
It's yours now, because
And
you
I'll ask
left it
him
last
what it's all about.
no, it's not
It's
his,
the town, so.
it's not his, no, it's not his. Bob or somebody put it there, like you said, you put it there, and it came during a storm, and then the next thing I noticed,
They just wandered.
yeah. But it's still sitting there after all this time,
Yeah,
I guess.
I thought somebody was looking for it.
so nobody knows why it's there.
Hmm.
I don't, it's not bothering anybody, but I would think that, you know, you should remove it.
Keeps people away from the shore.
Okay. Moving on, stormwater runoff infrastructure, can you report there?
No,
Didn't sucking out the drains.
they did, yes.
Yeah, sure.
I keep hearing the noise though, it might be, are they still around them? So I hear.
I haven't
hear the lingering.
They're really loud.
They woke me up.
Really?
I do recall that.
Is CRC gonna do more water testing and back up in the other section that we already talked about? But weren't they gonna do some additional testing in the storm drains, the 5 or 6 storm drains?
They
Or
were gonna do Erdoney and Lake, they partially did it. Nice transition to budget.
is
because
that,
there's
is that
still-
the, am I in the wrong?
No,
agenda
no.
item? Okay.
Great question, it's nice transition to budget review, sir, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like that. There's still an open.
Transition away.
There's still an open PO of $2,000+ for them to complete the work. Because when the winter hit, they couldn't find a good drain date. Well,
Yeah,
so you're right, and was measuring more,
Bacteria, right?
yeah, 50%, now, it wasn't bacteria, it's phosphorus, 50% of. I'm gonna get this wrong, I'll double check with Carl, but the vast majority of phosphorus is coming from, Utley, Lake. And, Homestead, all that area. So that's why they were going to go upstream and measure more.
Yeah.
So there's still an open field,
They have not,
they haven't done.
so they're waiting for more rain.
Yeah, and, actually, they need more rain to do the testing of stormwater drain 2 for E. coli.
Yeah.
So they're in the same area. When they come out, it will actually conserve some money for us because they can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, one visit.
So now that we're in the height of swimming season, and can we get them to do at least the E. coli in the lake, over in that area of the lake?
What do they do? at
That's
the
their
beach?
intent.
Sometimes they do something at the beach, don't they?
That's their intention. The beach is done every month,
Right.
every 2 weeks.
By who?
It's a different lab. It's not TRC. Eastern Highlands runs that.
Oh, so that's, all right,
Yeah, the health guys.
yeah,
And
so they're pretty good.
yeah, and stormwater drain too, they're supposed to pull that manhole first before TRC can come in and do the E. coli. They haven't done it yet, as of yesterday. So Mark was gonna check on that, because TRC was not coming in to do further work until Highlands pulled the manholes and said what's down there and what pipes are connected to what pipes.
Okay,
So,
well, it's good to know they're checking the beach.
Is that the private property ones?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Couldn't from the video.
But, and Phil, I'll give you this. Okay. The overall 24-25 budget, which ended June 30th, we still have money left to do stormwater drain 2. So POs have been issued to do that to TRC. It will go into that budget.
So,
And I think
Next year's
it's
budget.
$6,800 and
Yeah.
$4,000, because they're gonna stick the video up, assuming what they see in the manhole when they pull the manhole. The 2025-26 budget is $45,000. We got essentially everything that TRC proposed, including educational materials to get out with the new town ordinance, aquatic invasive species, and putting together a brand new updated pamphlet. So of that $45,000, 21,000 has been given to TRC as a PO to do their field visits. So all their field visits, which they do 6 a year, May through October, are already PO'd. And that $21,000 will be spent. So the remainder of the 45,000 included the stormwater drains, which are going into the 24 budget. Stormwater drain 2, the mapping, what do you call it, bathymetric? The mapping
Yeah.
of the lake. Which we need to have a formal motion and have the BOS approved. Anything else in what's left in the budget for this year. Has to be reviewed and approved. So the educational materials, when we're ready to go, BOS will approve it. The mapping, when we want it, BOS will approve. The plant mapping, which is pretty important for us, as we're seeing more and more plants. Just needs POs that BOS will approve. So we have full budget. And the BOS and the town approved it.
So, did you do all that? Or did Mark do it and you reported to us? How did all that come
Two
together?
things. I coordinated as a liaison with TRC their proposal in January, okay? Mark asked me to present this budget because he wasn't going to be here tonight.
Okay,
So this was pretty much Mark. And Phyllis, I have it all here for you.
Good.
You can get a copy. All right.
thanks.
Does that help?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mary got out with abacus.
I know. Hey,
And I kept it in my phone.
All right, so we have an attachment for the minutes for the, with the budget. Is there anything else on budget, Mary?
Well, I think we should pat ourselves on the back if we got, if we were authorized to spend what we asked for.
Yeah.
That rarely happens, frankly, especially in a little town when they're always looking for dollars, so.
So we
Yeah.
don't, we're not usually allowed to roll money over. Right? But this time we can.
Well, it wasn't a rollover.
Right,
The POs were issued in June, so technically speaking, it went to last year's budget.
right, it was spending money from one budget and then things bridged into the next budget. That's
I'm not.
technically not a rollover, because they were separate POs.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a finance person, so I can't answer.
It really is, there's different
It used to be
POs,
tough on, it, don't you say?
yeah, so. Okay, cool, thank you, everybody on that, so, okay, open business ordinance revisions.
Done
I think
Are
we
they
can probably-
completed? Everything's completed,
I
right?
think everything's
Completed?
completed.
and enforced as of July 15th.
I'd like to thank everybody on the board for helping put everything together. It was a long process, and I think the end result was good, especially like to thank Mary and Jimmy, because they really did the brunt of the work. Absolutely, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Here, here.
thank you, Henry Spirit,
What are you gonna do with all your free time?
yeah.
Well,
Don't tell us.
there's one more thing. The educational materials for the Sake of the Lake sticker program. We have an educational committee, Noreen's not here, and Henry, and from my point of view, I would like your input. We're gonna have an introduction letter and, directions letter. And then you have a key, right? Do you have a key? Gate key? A gate key? Oh, anybody have a gate key?
I
I
have.
have a gate key. So both of us have gate keys. All the educational materials for the gate keys can be transferred over to the sticker program. For any lakefront or private property person to use non-motorized, clean drive, and self-inspect and all that. It's 40 pages of stuff. So I would like to work with the town to A, put it on the website, and B, instead of having 40 pages, of which the town ordinance and the regulations take up a fair amount of that, just have links so that people read this, link, and then they can print the test out, take it to the rec hall or Marine Patrol or town office to hand it in and get their stickers. Yeah, I just like some input, if that makes sense or sounds okay, to have people read it online, take the test, and hand the test in and get the stickers. And a certificate that they're committed to self-inspect their boats, they're non-motorized boats.
I think that all sounds good, but before that, how are people gonna be notified that this program's going into effect?
There's going to be, which is why we have money in the budget this year, you know how they put out those little postcards?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a townwide postcard approach saying, this is what we're doing, if you're a private property owner and you're gonna launch not at the town beach, this is what you need to do. Any non-motorized boat.
Right.
That's my understanding, and actually, the education committee has to work with Jennifer on that and figure it out.
So if they've already launched, I'm sorry.
No, what I was gonna say is, you've gotta make it very simple for the people to go to, because
That's-
then they're not gonna go to it.
Yes.
I know,
So if you can go to one place to get the sticker,
or have the Marine Patrol go to your dock.
or go to your dock,
Like they used to.
yeah,
Even
Like
Like
they
we
used to do, they used to do that to do
Oh, they used to.
inspections when,
Yeah.
before the gate was there.
yeah. But it's gotta be simple, because otherwise they're not gonna do it.
And there's gonna be resistance to, Eric heard that,
Yeah,
at the public hearing, people are like, well, I don't take my boat off the lake, so why do I have to do that, and it's. Frankly, we're
No
trying to be
cost.
fair
There's no
to
cost.
everybody else in the town that has to go through this,
There's no cost to it.
Right.
little bit of inconvenience.
And just so that anybody that has a kayak or, self-inspecting on the lake now, that everybody has to bring, all the boats have to go through this now, or is it just new? Starting July 15th?
Well. This is not gonna be ready July 15th,
Okay.
realistically. I think Steve Everett was aiming for July 15th. I think to introduce the program and just have the program. Not a must, but be aware of it for August 1st until the end of the year, and then launch it.
Yeah, but does
But all,
everybody,
it would be all your boats, Craig, so, we have 3 kayaks and
A paddle.
and a paddle.
so the entire
It would be,
community needs to start doing this, say, August 15th?
If not, no,
Whenever,
I would target it for next year.
It's just the confusion. I already started hearing, what's going on with this, and what do I have to
but, and maybe we should just introduce it as. It's an educational thing this year,
do? Yeah,
it will be a annual thing starting next year.
yeah.
That you have to, I would like your advice, because I'm just.
Is that, when Henry was, talking about January 1 or whatever, the
Yeah,
approval, I didn't understand that that's what he was meaning. Because I kind of would have agreed
yeah,
on just trying not to do something midstream when you got all this stuff going on.
well, and that's it, I was.
So I think the education
Yeah,
would be good, and then if people want to
get a sticker,
do it, but
Jennifer has.
is that even confusing?
You know,
Okay,
it's just,
Could be mixed.
So that's gonna explain to everybody what it is.
so the
But we're
introduction.
not, we don't really know the whole thing
Yeah.
until we see that.
There's an introduction letter and there's directions like you had when you had to get a key.
Yeah.
That's 2 pages. And then there's a PowerPoint about AIS. Okay, I can review that. Then there's a clean, dry drain pamphlet. Okay, I can review that. But then you're getting, give them links. You wanna read the town ordinance, have at it. You probably should read the regulations, cause you gotta do this. I just think. If we introduce it educationally this year and mandated
Yeah.
it must be next year. As I said, we don't even have stickers yet.
makes sense.
I think it's good to, I think we need a little breathing room from.
yeah,
Last 2 years worth of effort in putting the regulations together.
Yeah.
And it stirred up a lot of
Yeah.
concern by people. Oh, here we go again, some more regulations we gotta deal with. And, there's a whole faction in town that wants to do away with regulations.
Yeah.
Not having more regulations, so.
I lean towards. Introduce it, education.
Yep.
It fulfills Steve's. What he really wants is to educate.
Right.
And then next year, okay, we want to have a sticker program, because then everybody sees. Whether you're a town resident off the lake or on the lake, that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So,
You just take one test for my 7 boats,
yeah. No, you take off.
right?
well, there's
Gonna make
new
you take
regulations, you
7
only have
times
5
now.
votes now.
Oh.
At the same time.
I live in both jobs
Do
sometimes.
we need a motion on that, Mike, I think we all agree that we. Or
Do an
maybe we don't
education.
even-
Are we making a recommendation?
I think the
I think
recommendation
we
is,
should, though,
we gotta complete the packet, it's gonna take a month. And.
Let's do it then.
Introduce it August of this year as an educational piece with implementation as of
Let's see.
April of next season or whatever date we choose to pick.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a continuation of an already existing initiative,
Yeah.
then we're fine. If we're needing to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, then yes, we would need an ordinance.
I think
Not yet.
Steve's expectation is that this is going to be implemented
This
this
year.
summer. Isn't it, is it not?
Yeah, at least educationally, but his expectation is it will be implemented this year.
If it's just educational.
So can you just say it's educational this year?
Why don't we just informally talk to Mark and Steve
Yeah,
Yeah,
and everybody?
Yeah, if he wants this implemented, does that mean everybody has to have a sticker August 15th, say,
That would
right?
be a nightmare.
Versus just educating that this is happening, you should be self-inspecting now. And then officially, you're gonna need stickers and, start January, whatever the season is.
Yeah.
you're,
get a better definition.
I think informally, we can have that chat.
Yeah,
And see what his reaction is.
Yeah,
If he wants it, okay.
and that would satisfy him.
But, okay,
okay, so we've, already talked about P and Z, I guess we can take that off, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
So, we can
yes,
remove
thanks.
that. TRC update, do you wanna just keep that as a continuing,
yeah, I mean, we'll get a monthly, it's,
Yeah. so we'll leave that. Catch basin schedule, catch basin
We can take that
schedule,
out.
we can probably.
That's
put that.
it.
Yeah. Geese mitigation task force.
Yeah, so, we're in the, molting phase now. So, there's been a couple of, rogue non-official geese patrol people trying to move the geese, so, we're trying to deal with that, but, what I wanted to do while we're in this pause is ask all of the LMAC, commission members whether you think the efforts thus far have made a significant change to the amount of geese around the lake. It's been a lot of work. Mike and I have been out on the lake all winter and, it's not something that we couldn't find something else to do. But I wanna know from the people that live on the lake, especially this committee, whether you think it's worthwhile or not. And I'd like and I don't think I need a motion for that, just show of hands.
I think it's been very.
you're here.
Very successful.
So I was only counting 21 lately, and then the other day I saw 29
Yeah.
or 31, I saw a couple that came in.
20 adults.
Well, you said they're molting right now, because I saw one just before I came, we were at the cottage.
Yeah.
I saw a single goose and he was sinking.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
looked like he was in trouble.
They can't fly, they can barely swim right now.
Right, all right, I didn't know about the molt thing.
Yeah, so, but there was a question.
Yeah.
And so.
Yes.
I think it did work.
I think, okay,
So we're continuing,
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay,
The
so
rooms are very small.
with that said, we'd also encourage all of you to participate. Now that we have a formula that we believe works. Mike and I are the only LMAC people in a boat going out and doing this. I have, I basically asked Mike to take over. Primarily because he's really good at it, but, no, he's not.
Hunter killer.
He's got he's got eyes on the lake, he's around the lake a lot, and, we're set up a quick, trying to set up a quick task force, so when somebody
response,
sees. Quick
yeah.
response, thank you.
Yeah,
To come in, we have 4 or 5 different people, if they're home, can come out and get them right off the lake, it's the quicker we can respond, the quicker they'll be gone.
Mhm.
We've proven we can remove them, they'll come back, we remove them, they'll come back. But, I think, I do believe that we've made a pretty good dent in it. And I also, kind of learning about these geese, it's been kind of interesting that, I believe that these are the ones that have been grown up on the lake, the 30 that remain, or the 20 plus the 10 new kids. And that's where Bonnie and Clyde, you call them, the 2 at the dam wouldn't leave, they kept coming back, and it just, does your heart.
Stay with us.
Stay, but no, so. I think the more harassment for these regulars, because it seems the migrators, they come
They
in.
come and go. Yeah,
But we keep up the harassment for the ones that are on the lake, and it was interesting as we had the 3, the 3 pairs of adults that had the babies. And then the 12 flyable adult geese that were kind of all around the lake, they're all now together.
Mhm.
And we think they learned that we're not harassing the babies.
Mhm.
And they started hanging out with the babies, and now they're kind of pretty much going around in a pack,
Mhm.
which also. Helps everybody because they don't have 2, 3, 5,
Mhm.
harassing different things, so it's kind of. interesting from an education standpoint, trying to learn these suckers, you know, what they're doing. But, you know, I appreciate everybody's busy and has different things, but, you know, if you're home and you see geese out there, contact Mike or I and say, hey, I see 2 or 4. I can't get out there, or I can get out there, we'll get you a green flag, a green hat. They really seem to be picking up our hat colors. And plus, it's the identifier for the lake residents to know that we are official geese patrol. And, you know, if you see a boat without the identification on it, you know, let us know, or let Marine, talk to Marine Patrol, they know too, but
Are you talking at any time during the year, or are you talking just in the winter,
all the time.
all the time?
Yeah.
So,
But now
Just
that
not
we've
right now, cause.
You can't chase them down until they.
Probably a couple more, 2, 3
So it's
weeks.
probably been about 3 weeks since they started this molting, and from what I read, it usually goes on for 4 or 5 weeks. So we're getting close to the end.
mid-July to
Yeah.
end of July.
Mm,
so you're not gonna really be chasing them
No.
until
We
the
are not. We don't
end
want
of
anybody.
August?
No, no,
No,
no,
mid,
not
mid or
February.
end of July.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once, we'll start poking in a couple of weeks and
Once
see
we
if
see
they
them
fly.
starting to fly,
Or if you see somebody fly in,
yeah.
Yeah,
let us know,
then you'll know.
you know,
Okay.
but we're not allowed to harass, we don't wanna harass. When they can't fly, especially with the babies.
Sure,
Which was going.
But I mean,
from what I
how-
understand, no?
how would I know that if I'm home and I see a geese fly in?
If you see a goose fly in, contact Mike Green.
Okay,
If they're flying,
They
that's
shouldn't be
great,
flying.
if we can get back to it.
but I mean, if I'm home and I see it fly in, you don't want me to go chase it?
You could if you're certified,
Oh.
get your green hat and the flag, yes.
Now,
Yeah.
now,
Now, what about the laser?
Well, so the laser, some people, it seems to, work. Mary's got some powerful one.
Yeah.
What it does is it'll shoo them off your yard,
yes,
but it doesn't shoo them off the lake.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So yeah, shoo them off your yard when we're out there with your laser, get them into the lake, and then we get them to leave with our boats.
So I think you know this already, Greg, but they love Emma and
Oh,
Nairobi's.
Nairobi's.
18 or Donny, so if you're ever looking for them, start there.
I've seen they're there a lot.
They go all the
They were at Salon's, Sunday.
I've seen them on the road and them for us. And then it's go all the way up the hill.
yeah, they do.
Unbelievable.
She drives, you see her, she drives her car down her lawn to chase them.
Oh,
It's crazy.
you should get a dog.
She,
No,
she has.
No.
Okay, so either way,
That's it.
Yep,
So what do we
thank
do?
you.
We send you an email saying we're ready to chase, or we'd like to help, or how do you want that? Cause you got members that aren't
Yeah,
here right
and
now.
If you wanna do that, we can definitely need the hat.
We'll send an internal email.
the boat's still available,
Yeah.
so, I mean, you guys.
Yeah, that was a
Use it
great
whenever you want.
Well, we don't need your boat now, but in the winter we will.
Okay, well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's available, I mean, if you wanna use it, it's there, I mean.
Appreciate it.
so.
Great.
So, what's that?
We're talking about the geese. They are eating the curly leaf pondweed in front of.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They seem to like that.
They are,
They're pulling it up and they don't always eat it either, come
Yeah.
floating into them. But, I don't think that's a bad thing,
I agree,
right? So, at least they're cutting the tops off of it
yeah,
anyway, so it's
Yeah.
about 18 inches down.
and props cut it too, we've had some probably from props, but, yeah.
Have you tried to
Okay.
recruit anybody else though on the lake? I mean, like anybody else that might have a boat in after the season?
Yeah, we've got help out there.
Yeah,
That
we're definitely off season, so if we continue the success,
Mhm.
I'm gonna propose to Mark, and we mentioned it in the spring or something, that the town buy a boat like yours, you know, for us to use, you know.
I think I seen one over behind the dump, isn't
Yeah,
there?
they have one, but I don't know, if they, you know, you
What do you
can
mean,
find
like
it,
a
you
rowboat?
can, yeah, the aluminum boat, then you can,
There's part of it.
They got something behind it.
or donate.
Well, you guys can always use.
Yeah,
ours,
so that's where, you know,
That's,
in the fall,
Yeah.
we'll bring that up.
it's,
Okay.
even if you know, if you can't get in touch with us
Mhm.
for whatever reason. And you need to use it,
just use it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've
don't,
done that a couple of times.
yeah, so I mean, it's really, it's
Yeah.
happy
It's a big
to,
help, yeah.
happy to support in any way we can, I'm just
Mhm.
saying, it's, it's.
Exactly.
And that's for you to,
Because
now, and then as
in the
you, as you
winter-
designate other people who are competent with it, or, or other leaders within the group, we can certainly add to that list, but as far as you.
Yeah, because we only had your boat for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous in the cold water, you definitely want two boats out there.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my criteria to talk to Mark about. And we had, we talked about it in LMAC, of a
Yeah.
couple $1,000 to get a boat.
Yeah.
And we.
For the winter, yeah, and for cold weather, you may wanna consider an inflatable,
They're better.
they're
Yeah.
just more stable.
Like the Marine Patrol,
Well, it doesn't have to be as elaborate
yeah.
as that, it could be a, smaller inflatable, which are, could be what do you call it? Chiller,
It's
drive.
just the shore, bringing it up on shore, you need plywood or something, because.
Yeah,
Inflatable bot, this is the rigid hull, I guess.
Fair enough.
Better,
fair enough.
but Preuss put out a plywood, and that really, drag it up.
Yep.
But yeah, no, everybody was fun and helpful, and I love going on the lake in December and January. It's a totally different perspective.
Yeah,
And
well, the other thing,
when it's.
Yeah.
It's 40 degrees and
Yeah.
safe.
the other thing we could think about is, when we get to the drawdown, we should think about where to put my raft. So that when
Yeah.
it goes down, when it lands at the edge of the water, so that guys could use that as a launching platform. Which may be helpful.
Absolutely, yeah, cause it was a little tricky a few times.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially in our boots and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, so,
Didn't fear, and very helpful, so.
okay,
I'm glad it's working, and we'll keep going and see what happens at the end of the year, I'm confident we can get rid of them.
yeah,
The fuel will come back. But
I think it'll
each
be
morning,
less and less.
yeah, and each morning, somebody sees them come in, you go get them and they're gone for the day.
Yeah,
They might come back the next day, but at least you have a Saturday, full Saturday with no freaking geese.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you, Greg and Mike.
yeah, thank you both. Thank you.
Very considerable.
and if I may, and in partnership to that, we did have a little success on Adeline.
Yeah.
And I really believe that when you sit down with Mark, there were two elements that came out of this plan that the CLA put together and the LMAC and the BOS Plus. One was ADL and the other was harassment. I really believe if we ADL, we can really significantly reduce. It's a,
It's difficult.
this is not scientific, pain in the butt, excuse me, to do it. And we looked at every which way to get to them, but ground zero was definitely.
Yeah.
Ground zero was definitely, as Mike learned, as he almost sunk.
So how many do you think you added this year?
We added 10 eggs this year.
You found 10?
We added
Cause
10.
the broods are really small, I don't think there was more than 3 in one brood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was 2, 3.
but there were
5.
14 geese, adult geese, and we found 5
Yeah.
or 6 nests. But they haven't had the eggs, but in 2 of the 6 nests.
Oh, well,
So my thinking, and I don't know if Min agreed with this or not, was they don't start producing until they're 3 years old. So what was up there might have been 1 and 2 year old or 3 before they were 3-year-olds. And the 3-year-olds produced at least 10, but we just didn't get back. So I'd like to have the town hire a young group, train them. And have them do it appropriately, just spray it with
Go
oil.
Eagle Scouts,
so what does the nest look
Yeah.
like?
find
It's
the,
a little protrusion, sorry, Felicity.
yeah,
Didn't mean to cut you off. It's a very tiny protrusion, so it's just high enough so that the eggs don't go underwater. But there's not.
And they're
really
always
not
near the
much
water?
to it.
They're always near the water?
They're in little clumps right out in the middle of the pond, there's all kinds of it's not very deep to begin with, the pond is not very deep to begin with.
2 to 3
But
feet.
it's probably
It's got
got
a
5
foot or
feet of
two.
muck, I mean, if you stepped into it, you'd probably go straight down.
As Mike did.
But there's little outcropping protrusions all over the place, which does make it harder to navigate in a kayak, and then they'll just. A little bit of grass and hay kind of thing, it barely looks like a nest. And they camouflage themselves extremely well, the first one we found, she was still, I think you were with us that day, Mike. We were going right toward her and she never moved until we brought the kayak right up alongside and then she started to hiss. And stood up and then Mary got the squirt bottle out of vegetable oil or whatever she was spraying on there and sprayed them. It's really quite interesting.
So do you have to shake them too, or is it just spray?
We just sprayed them.
Just spray?
All you do is spray
Vegetable oil or vinegar?
corn oil.
Corn oil?
It covers and
Do
it,
you soak them, or you're just spraying?
we put a fair amount on them.
Cause I thought they were dumping them in a little thing and then taking them out, and putting them back, you know?
There are many ways to do it, but Min said, just spray them and spray them heavily. I said, okay, so that's what we did.
And
So the perfect world would be. Have me talk Ann Donick into allowing a drone. With oil dispenser.
that's serious.
Wouldn't even have to talk and, that's town of Columbia. Town of Columbia
Okay.
property, if you look at the map,
Yeah, well,
you're not in.
but she's
big
important, right? And
Yeah.
would break her heart if we.
I respect
Yeah.
and,
I got a good relationship with her. I'm gonna,
yeah,
you know, I wanted to show some success before I went and asked for more. I mean, I also wanna ask for a drone in the winter. On Columbia Lake, and just the lake because of the ice and the difficulty of when they get into the shallows.
sure,
You can't walk, just like up
no, I know.
in, you know, even the lake, it's nice as it is, it's still, you know, a foot of soft sand. And a drone would definitely help move stuff around, so I figured if we showed success, we could go back to the board of selectmen and say, this is what we're asking for now.
You're gonna need state approval. DEP approval,
For a drone?
yeah, over state owned.
Oh, yeah, you're right, it's a waterway,
Okay,
The commission will have to, do
yeah,
Even the swamp up there?
any body of water.
any water body, yeah,
Drone would be super helpful up there.
it sure would
And
be.
on the lake too, for the chance.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. Management review on moorings and rafts.
I have no idea what this
I
is.
think that was Henry's.
That was Henry's baby.
Make sure that all the rafts are registered.
Yeah, we'll leave it from here to come back. Inspection procedures, was this,
Henry's,
Well, you can take it off.
you wanna take it off now?
Checklist
Well,
done,
we-
that's
we
part of the
finished the-
regulations. That was.
Is this related to the town ordinance?
Well, it kind of was, but then he wanted to go into deeper waters with it, so that's why he asked, could it be on the agenda? So that's why I put it.
Is this the non-motorized program, stuff
Yeah.
like that, or?
for
Well, you can leave it on, I'm not sure what it is. It says-
Well, we can leave it on for
Probably,
now.
Is he gonna be here next month, do we know?
Well, if
We're
it's
just-
this, we're already, the education committee's working on
Okay, so we take it off,
it. Well, no.
No.
We'll be back next month.
okay,
yeah, just
Leave it.
leave it there, All right, fallen tree protocol, I guess,
I'm not sure what this is and.
well,
There's three or four trees that are in the lake and trying to figure out whose responsibility it is to remove them and how
yeah,
do you notify owners and.
let's just move that to open business, we're not gonna tackle
Yeah,
that
because
right
my
now.
understanding is Beth Blunt is on. We know Angler hasn't fixed their electric box yet, so they won't touch it because of the electricity.
that's right.
She has tried to do Dara's. And she contacted 4 companies who won't do it while the water's there, so it's probably gonna happen in drawdown. I just don't know what type of protocol. you need.
Well,
What's-
well,
what's-
but it's getting, how do we get the town to deal with it, and are we gonna deal with? For instance, all the trees that are over by the camp. There's,
There's
There's one that's been there for about 5 years.
5 years at least.
That's on Wells
More
Yeah,
than,
yeah, Wells, maybe it's Wells. So let's just put it and move that to open business and we'll talk with Mark about
Cause each one is different, I mean, English is on a dock.
Right.
The one at the dike is half on their land and then it actually gets in the water.
it. Yeah,
So, and then you had one, you were able to float away, each one is individual, so you.
but,
That's, what kind of rule can you make?
yeah, but the protocol could be, you know, who do you, if a tree falls in the lake, who do you contact? Is it the
Right.
head of public works or somebody,
Yeah.
Mark Walter, who's that?
People are asking us.
right.
And then, you know,
Is there a
unless
law?
it poses an imminent hazard, it won't be dealt with probably until the drawdown,
Right.
when it's more, cost effective to room and easier to remove it.
Less
That,
risk.
that might be the protocol, so.
One of my trees fell into the lake, town took it away and the public works people did it, and it was in August, when it was about 100 degrees out. And they loved it because they were in the water. They would cut a section about 10 feet, they would drag it over to Long Beach and then take it out, then they come back and do another section. It was like the best thing, it was better than doing road work.
Okay, so, all right, so we'll move that to open business. LMAC duties, review and responsibilities.
This is gonna come up in November because we all have to be renewed. So my intent was a mission, responsibilities. Carl Foster actually started this how many years ago?
Yep.
Yeah,
And it's still,
Never
never haven't made progress. But, yeah, I think as we get into September, October, we should be talking about,
duties and
We're gonna renew.
responsibilities.
Do any other boards have something like this that we could look at?
oh yeah, I'm sure we could, there are charters. Which are like 1 or 2 sentence paragraphs, but I think that there are some, let me check with Mark on that.
You wanted to know.
Yeah, I
what
spoke
business-
with Mark about our charter and there's not a lot to it.
Do it, yeah,
So,
Open
that-
business.
yeah, open business.
okay,
Ours would be different than elected.
Well, yeah, we're an advisory
It's an
board, but
advisory.
and it would be something that if we were going to. Wouldn't necessarily mean changing the charter, but we could, have. Which, like I said, we could probably dig out. What Carl Foster started.
So how did this come about? We have to be reappointed every year?
No,
Every 2
No,
Every 2 years?
it must be,
I thought it was 5.
no, it's two.
I have no idea.
It was-
I don't think they're following up on it too much. I don't think I've gone in to sign it in a long time.
No, but it's supposed to be every 2 years.
I didn't know that,
Yeah,
I thought it was longer too.
Yeah, because when I started, there was 2 years left, 2 plus 2, like, 2.5. On this thing,
Yeah,
and there was,
Didn't know the terms.
that's why I thought it was
well,
5.
it's not really terms, but
Maybe
No.
it's-
we'll talk with Mark about it.
yeah.
1998 watershed management plan recommendation. Review and prioritization.
Oh, see if we got anything in this.
So I think I brought this up, or it came up in several meetings ago, and I asked that we track this to make sure. I know it wasn't top priority, but at some point we need to get back to that plan to review and update it. I mean, it's been going on how many years, 1990?
That was Chick's
Right,
knows
right.
about it.
Yeah.
It might be perfectly fine the way that it is. I know it did outline a series of recommended steps, some of which were undertaken, some have not, like the I think the annual septic pumping was a
Mhm.
recommendation.
Correct.
So I think we should revisit at some point and review to see, are there recommended actions in there that we should be recommending to the board that we pursue or not,
They're outdated or something.
The,
or the whole thing needs.
All right, do we wanna have a subcommittee? Do you wanna?
Oh, sure.
lead a subcommittee?
Actually, I will, because one of the goals of the CLA was to review that plan. And develop a white paper
Okay,
combining TRC's report with that, so yeah, that would be
do you have people within that community that would help you with that, or is there anybody else here that would help?
That's a good question, Mike.
Well, can I also ask, why would you
That's
have
what
the
they say.
CLA work on that?
What?
Why would you have the CLA work on that?
No, it's
Not
not, she's
working
not,
on
she-
a
no,
plan.
she's taking the lead as part of LMAC.
Right,
No, but Greg is asking, why would CLA be why would CLA be involved? It's not CLA's role to update the plan,
No,
but to,
and that's not what I was implying.
no, I know you
you
weren't.
said the
it's fine.
CLA was gonna help you combine into a white paper.
No, there,
Sorry,
No,
we
go-
talked about writing a white paper on issues affecting the lake.
Okay.
And one source of information for that is this watershed management plan,
All right.
amongst others.
and.
That's a zoning thing, all right?
If
That's,
someone is
isn't that?
created a subcommittee, the subcommittee doesn't have to necessarily be people from this board, it could be from whatever community. The town community, it could be from CLA, it could be from anywhere, so that's. Why, when I asked, I wasn't asking, just so we're clear, I wasn't asking that CLA take this on. I was asking if you had some other folks that were. Interested in this, that you could create a subcommittee with other people.
But they would likely be people actually outside of town, because we're in touch with some people at other, like at Western University, there's a fellow there who's,
Yeah.
you know. The one who did the survey, actually.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Some of you completed, so. Let me think on that a little bit.
Sure.
Mike, and come back. It would be ideal to have people from this group involved in it too.
Yeah.
Because it's an LMAC, this is
Yeah.
an LMAC matter, so.
Sure.
Are you nodding, because you're.
I'm happy to help, I just
Maybe
have, I know nothing about it, but I'm willing to jump.
Well, that would be
Thank
great,
you, Greg.
that's great,
Thank you.
yeah.
I know.
Just FYI. The Planning and Zoning Commission has started process of updating the plan of development and conservation for the town.
Yeah, I felt.
They will be contacting every agency, every commission for their portion of it. They did this 7 years ago, I think by state statute, we have to update it every 7 years. So they've just started the process. I don't know if that has anything to do with what you're talking about, but
The original plan, we got, we
it
got.
may have something, it may have something to do with the previous thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just help.
Okay.
Duties, reviews, and
We
responsibilities.
haven't delved
There's
into.
usually a section in there
Did a
that
great
describes what we
Yeah.
do,
So,
what we're planning to do, sets goals.
Right, it's,
yeah.
it's pretty comprehensive plan.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I've read it.
yeah.
I mean, ideally, I'd reach out to Chick and get Chick, you know, involved in this as well, because he's the guy who spearheaded that.
Mark Coleman.
And Mark Coleman, yeah,
But you may want to talk to the planner,
okay,
because he's having,
Yep,
thank you.
oh, that's great,
So my action would be to come back to you with a, you know, suggested subcommittee
yep,
to work on this.
yep, that would be great,
And a time frame, some kind of time frame.
yeah.
Look like at
Yes.
this point, but.
Yeah, I mean, the first phase is gonna be really information gathering. and
Yeah.
Better understanding it
Yeah.
and that you may have, once you do that, you may have a better understanding of time,
Yeah, exactly.
right? I mean, it's pretty loose right now.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it's similar when LMAC started 3 years ago talking about geese and what were we going to do.
Mhm.
That the CLA took on the project to develop and recommend to LMAC and the Board of Selectmen, what can we do or what should we be doing?
Yeah,
And, you know, we went through surveys, we went through Zoom meetings, we had a board that was very extensive on and off the lake.
yeah,
And, you know, I think we put together a pretty good.
Yeah, well, and again, that. Excuse me, CLA, you know, I think this is broader than just
Yeah,
a project for CLA.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's gonna need some, just initial review and.
Yeah.
And then.
but it's
kind of-
a. As I understand the CLA, their mission is to support the town in protecting and preserving the lake, so if you wanna provide that support, have that.
Well, this is
I
gonna
just
help
also
me.
think it's important to separate LMAC from CLA, all the good work CLA does, right? But
Yeah, but
people
this
get
is,
confused.
yeah, but this is a LMAC subcommittee.
I get it.
And there may be people from CLA on it as well as others. Right,
Yeah.
so, but this
Resident.
is very clearly an LMAC subcommittee.
The way I think of it, Greg, just if it makes it simpler for you, is we're just a mouthpiece. You know, the real work of the town happens here with recommendations made to the board, but the CLA is a useful mouthpiece to get information out to people.
Yep.
We're generally not creating de novo information, but we're communicating it more broadly perhaps.
Sure. Cool, so that would move to open business as well. And what's this early detection and rapid response? I don't know.
Yeah, I had brought it up, somebody from Connecticut Deep had sponsored, two gentlemen from Anston Lake who had created an early detection rapid response to aquatic invasive species. And apparently they need it now because they have either milfoil or handwork in their lake. They were great, they had kind of a plan ready to go, they knew who to go to, they had permits ready to go, applications ready to go. If they had an issue, so boom, you could get right on with invasive species. I had suggested that we have those two guys, or one of them, come and just outline their plan and give us some idea or understanding if we ever need it. And I reached out to them and haven't heard back to them from it, so you can put it on the back burner.
Well, let's just put it in open business as well.
Yeah.
I think
Because
we're
that
pretty
would be, you
We're
know,
on top of
something,
everything right now.
something.
You go.
That could be something that if we have at least, could be a loose plan.
We have a model.
Or if we have a model, thank you,
Yeah,
and then create awareness with Goose Patrol. You know, cause you guys are out there with Marine Patrol, you know, and then with the CLA, right? I mean, there could be just at least an awareness that there is a response to this.
right,
You know, more than if you see something, say something, but if at least we could know like, oh, okay, if this happens. These are the next 5 steps that need to happen right away.
right, right.
So,
And it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good
no,
presentation.
that's.
So at some point,
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
at some point.
but there's enough
Pretty great.
people just in this room that can, whether they're out on the lake themselves or that, you know, we have the CLA or, you know, collaboration with the Marine Patrol, you know, that we could pull all those pieces together and.
Eyes on all that.
It would be good to have the paperwork ready though.
Excuse me.
Well,
It'd be good to have the paperwork.
That's-
ready
Yeah.
to go.
That's,
Yeah.
that's.
Because it'll take us a couple of weeks to
Well-
figure out what paperwork.
Yeah, what the hell we gonna do?
You know,
That's exactly what I'm getting.
Carl,
That's exactly.
TLC has told me there is a backup in getting permits for invasive species
oh, sure.
at deep.
Hmm.
And months.
What, to remediation?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, maybe that, he told me that 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago, I don't know. But that might have been cleared up, but I don't know.
All right,
He just said that the process takes time, get your ducks in a row.
well, then let's do that.
Do rapid response.
Yeah,
Just have those guys
Just have those guys at Amsterdam give you all their paperwork, the copies.
Well, I have their PowerPoint someplace,
Yeah. I
so
think having a lake.
happy to share that much.
Yeah, is a very good start for that, anyway.
Yeah.
I know, I think just like what we're doing here is 90% of what we talk about, because we're talking about a newest thing I didn't hear about tonight was the dining plan.
Yeah, I mean, but
That's, it's on the table immediately.
yeah, but to Bob's point, where, you know,
Yeah.
if someone said, you know, we have milk oil,
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'd be scrambling to figure out what,
Well, we only meet once a month.
right, right.
Yeah.
And what happens? yeah.
Well, I mean, we would expedite to the town because Walter, or whatever,
Special meeting.
yeah, okay,
Cool.
any other?
Yeah, I just want, clarification. The note that went out from the CLA on the weeds of these permits. That somehow,
Which
yeah,
message?
it was the people, up to 15 people can get a permit to
Oh,
regular weeds.
Yeah, oh,
That just happened like that, you know, we had been talking internally about this, and then all of a sudden, and then wetland is sending out.
Yeah.
Via the CLA. To, you know, what is it, 80% of the lake,
Well, but
so I know you were trying to get the word out, but.
we got, CLA got it out late.
yeah, but it was on
Wetlands.
the town's
It's
website.
been on town website.
Where? In the wetland?
Under latest news in the town website. Now, this came up very
I went to
quick,
the inland wetland section and
excuse me,
I went to the inland wetland thinking something was in there, but there wasn't any, there's nothing in there.
Jennifer did provide it.
Just a clarification, because now all of a sudden it's too late, right? And people are gonna be asking us, maybe, you know, what's going on? And so I just,
Here's what happened.
yeah,
From my perspective. We have, and she's phenomenal, she's gonna be great, we have a brand new wetlands agent.
Okay.
Who is progressive. And in conversations with Mark Walter. And I became involved, and Henry Beck sent an email on self-harvesting. The weeds. We had talked about this for, what, 6 months last year? And the
Yeah.
town was not in favor of Benthic blanket.
right,
The town was in favor of raking.
yeah,
And when the wetlands agent came in, she said, well, look. It's town, it's Deep's water, it's the town's lake bed, we can't just tell people to go out and rake. So the suggestion came to. This is too late, it should have been done in May and June,
right,
because of the seeds.
yeah,
When you get past mid-July, you're probably gonna rake seeds and spread and probably double or whatever the pondweed. And literally, this was mid-June, cause I started communicating with her mid-June. So they put together a quick pilot program. They,
how did they announce it?
they announced it via the town website.
Yeah, but that doesn't do any good.
I agree.
You don't know to look.
I was gone all last week, and I came back and I said to the CLA president,
Yeah,
this needs to go out.
Yes.
Nobody knows about it,
Right.
except one person I talked to personally. So you sent it out, whenever it was.
But it was very, I acknowledge, it was very late.
It was
Well,
very
so-
late in the game.
is the bottom line, the LMAC doesn't need to worry about the weeds now, she's gonna.
No, I think it's a partnership. And LMAC talked about it for 6 months, and my LMAC knows, we said
I know.
we wanted to rake the leaves.
Yeah.
Or rake the pondweed. So,
That's why I'm just, all of a sudden, wetland got involved, and I, right or wrong, I don't know, it's just, you know.
Well,
all of a sudden
wetlands-
They got it done.
wetlands is the town's agent, not LMAC. Wetlands would have to be involved, and now we have a wetlands person full-time
Responsive.
who's responsive, really good, wants to learn, and any water body is a part of wetlands. And I just, I compliment her for saying, let's get on top of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And let's do this.
Okay,
Now, she did come back to me and, it sent me an email yesterday or the day before saying, we need to advertise this in April, we need to do it in May, June. And I said, that's why you did that. Because you can't just wholesale announce it. And frankly, I went around the lake kayaking Monday. Not every dock is impacted by this.
yeah,
There are docks.
unfortunately, it's
Pretty far out.
They will be, and it'd be too late to cut.
I don't see it near anyone's dock, it's pretty far out.
Not every dock, so we
You
have
have
to
to
be
get in
careful.
about 6 or 8 feet of water.
Self-harm,
That's
you
gonna be
know?
hard to do.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Yeah, that's helped clarify.
And sorry, like somebody who inquired was told that the rate costs $150.
Oh, yes.
So, and she wanted to know, is the town providing the rates? And I would not hold your breath for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
to
so,
do it-
you know,
to do it correctly, you have to make an investment into.
I have-
this property.
I have a rate, the razor, and I have the rate, so if you guys, anybody, I don't wanna advertise it, but.
I did apply for that, pilot program.
Okay,
did you?
Yeah, so, what's his first name?
Savannah is gonna come out and inspect every dock, she's
Yes.
gonna tell you the square footage you can do.
Yeah.
Which Greg Bugby and TRC did give us, so I gave her our notes from Elmac, obviously. And, she has 6 applications,
Mhm. Oh, really?
that's what she told me.
I'm not sure, cause it's really not up against my dock, I'm not sure how far it can be, but she's coming in tomorrow.
She's good for,
Yeah.
the recommendation from Bugby and TRC was 20 by 20 was that 400 square feet. That was the recommendation, around your dock or in your swim.
Yeah, so we'll see what she says tomorrow.
thank you for getting the word up.
Well, sorry, it was so late, Craig.
Last day.
That's why it
That's why I'm
Yeah.
confused as to who's on first.
They're scrambling.
Yeah, one more thing, and then I'll shut up. Henry donated his weather system to the town because
Yes.
he couldn't come up with a garden thing. So he asked me to work for the town, and I'm in the process of that. Hopefully, it's gonna be in its final place tomorrow. We're having problems with the Wi-Fi. It shuts off at 5:55 because there was a person in town who had some heart monitor or something like that, that's Wi-Fi affected. So several years ago, they shut the Wi-Fi off at night. So trying to figure out who's on first with that has been a challenge. Ladies, yeah, okay, we'll get that taken care of, but you can, I have it up on the town's website under community, the community tab. You can see Columbia Beach weather. Get the live information. You can also download the ambient weather app on your phone or on your computer. You can go to ambientweather.net. Mike has a system, ambient weather ambient weather is the app.
Okay,
It's a blue app with a plus sign on it.
I mean, I don't have to send all those little texts anymore.
We added the water temperature, so there's a probe that's in the boathouse. It's only about a foot below the water because there's only 2 feet deep in there.
Yeah.
But at least gives you an idea what the water temperature is.
Awesome.
And it's gonna go up on the dormer, the east side dormer is high. I made a mount for it that Peter's gonna, call Peter yesterday, so. And it's a dedication to, the Beck family's donated
Very
this, so, and Henry likes it, and then. The other piece to the puzzle, if you want some nice 8.5 by 11 picture frame, it's a Wi-Fi picture frame. That you can have this data up on your counter or your wall, and you can put whatever data you want. Like on mine, I have Mike's weather system because his for sailing is perfect spot. But I can have mine, I can have the beach, you put in whatever station you want. To build the data that you want, like if you have another property in Florida or wherever, you can monitor different locations, so it's really cool, it's called the weather window. And that's at,
And you can
so
monitor other people's weather stations.
other people's, yeah,
Yeah.
so, I'm gonna put a little, once we get it up, a little poster thing on the bulletin board down at the beach, so people can take a look at it. I talked to Keena Callie about maybe write the water, today's water temperature, so to get people's attention,
Nice.
you know, so that they'll know what's there.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
Is it mounted on the boathouse?
no, so the water temperature is inside the boathouse with a probe that
No,
goes into the water.
the unit.
The
itself.
unit is gonna be on the Murphy House up
Oh, on
in
the
the east
Murphy House.
facing dormer. Which is, the safest part because the roof is not very strong to walk on.
Okay.
And so we made a mount, with an extension pole. to Get it up in the air. No, it's up there now. First generation mount, I'll call it. that-
Need a little more.
It gets the idea, you
Yeah,
know, you can see the rain and things like that, you
Yeah.
know. And that was one of the things Henry wanted, you know, to see how much rain is coming into the
Yeah.
lake. you know.
Yeah,
It'll get, you know, between Mike's and, did you fix it?
It started working.
Oh, okay.
This rain must have washed it out.
There,
We have to reboot every once in a while.
But it's a really cool little unit, it's only about this wide and about this tall, and it has on the top of it a haptic reader. That actually measures the raindrops, so there's no buckets to fill or clean.
Yeah,
And then halfway in it, it lets the wind go through, so it ultrasonically measures wind speed.
I was gonna just give
No
it
movie.
the vision.
well, that's gonna be cool to look
So
at.
there's no
Yeah.
moving parts. So,
wow.
yeah,
That's neat.
So you said you can hook up with other ones too?
yeah, on the app, you know, on the phone or on your computer, you go to ambient weather and. Anybody, because we have, people that have the systems have the option of making it public or not.
Oh,
So
okay.
mine is, 'cause my mom likes to see it.
And can it be out in the sun, or does it have to be,
What?
the weather station?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Put on the island?
Well, the problem with it, so the island's 400 yards off the beach, and it's got a 300-yard range, and the other problem was, Henry really wanted it managed from the rec. Center, you know, the town.
Yeah.
Because, you know, yeah, we could have put it on the island and used Mike's house, Mike's Wi-Fi, but then it's not really town.
Yeah.
He just wanted
Yeah.
some legacy to
Yeah.
it that was town managed,
Yeah.
it made sense, you know.
Where it isn't on the island. That's
Fair enough, yes, yeah.
So if you go into the rec center, over in the little bay window, you can see the base unit, so the base unit pulls the data from the sensors, and then the base unit is what transmits to the internet, so that we can get it on our phone.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, down that.
Cool, thank you for the
Yeah,
updates on
nice
that,
job.
so that's actually going to new business.
Okay.
All right, anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion, second,
I mean.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Phyllis, do you want this article back?
I know I don't need it.